St. John chapter 6, starting at verse 1. I'm going to read. Sometime after this, you say after this what? Jesus had been ministering to the disciples and others, and he was talking to them about honoring him. And he was asking them the question, how can you honor man who can only do limited things for you, and then you don't see fit to honor God? Sometimes we see that in the world today, don't we? People will honor man, and they'll go all out of their way for the man and for the people and for others. But when it comes to honoring God, we begin to be limited, so to speak, or we shortchange God. So the verse goes on in St. John chapter 6. So sometime after this, he said, Jesus crossed to the far shore of the Sea of Galilee, that is the Sea of Tiberias. And a great crowd of people followed him because they saw the signs he had performed by healing the sick. In other words, after he finished ministering, he was healing the sick, and people were very moved by what he was doing. Somebody said relationship. Then Jesus went up on a mountainside and sat down with his disciples. The Jewish Passover festival was near. In other words, it was almost near for them to have that Jewish celebration that they do every year when they come together to celebrate what the Lord has done. 5, and Jesus looked up and saw a great crowd coming toward him. This is after he done ministered to him and shared. He said to Philip, where shall we buy bread for these people to eat? Now he had just finished giving them natural bread, spiritual food. They sat and listened to him as he shared and give them a spiritual food, and they ate. And Jesus, I guess this is sort of sarcastically, he said, he looked up and saw the great crowd. He says, where shall we buy bread for these people to eat? 6, he asked this only to test him, for he already had in mind what he was going to do. I mean, you know, Jesus can feed anybody. Right. He can feed a multitude, he can feed one, he can feed it doesn't matter. He has the power to do it, doesn't he? Amen. So he was asking them, I guess sort of sarcastically. And he says, another disciple, and another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. Did I skip a verse? Oh, I'm sorry, verse 7. Philip answered him, it would take more than a half a year's wages to buy enough bread for each one to have a bite, Pastor. We can't do this. It would take more than a half a year's wages to buy enough bread for each one to have a bite. Sound like a doubtful person, doesn't it? Yeah. Anybody ever heard that before? Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. Here's a boy, a lad, with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. Somebody says, looks like faith coming to life. Looks like faith coming to life. And 2 small fish. How far will they go among so many? Even though he had the question, but at least he recommended something. Y'all get it? Right. Oh, he was just in the same boat as the other people. He realized, man, there's a lot of people here to be fed, and I don't know what we're going to do. The first one, though, you can tell in his voice that he was doubting that they could even attempt to do this. But at least Philip answered. No, not Philip, but the other disciple, Simon Peter, said, here's a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. But how far will they go among so many? 10, Jesus said, have the people sit down. There was plenty of grass in that place, and they sat down. About 5,000 men were there. 5,000 men. And the scripture said, another scripture said, and they had more than that because they had to count the women and children. Amen. What verse? 11 said, and Jesus then took the loaves. He took the loaves, 5 barley loaves that the boy had. It said it was a lad, so they couldn't have been that big. That's right. Y'all hear me? There was a grown muscular man like Richard or Joe there. You know, he might even carry a few bags of loaves, but he said it was a lad. A lad, in my way of thinking, is somebody under 15, maybe? A lad. A lad. He had 5 barley loaves and 1, 2 fish. Jesus then took the loaves Y'all watch this now. Jesus took the loaves. In other words, bring the loaves, bring what you have to me. And when they brought them to Jesus, what did he do next? He gave thanks for it.
That's right.
Have you ever had just a little and you look at it, this ain't much, ain't nothing I can do with that. You start complaining when you look at it. Instead of just what? Giving thanks. Because the first thing out of our mouth when we receive something, whether it's a blessing, small or great, as a Christian, I ought to say, thank you. I ought to tell the person to give it to me, thank you. And I ought to say, thank you, God, for touching their heart to be a blessing. Not look at it. There's much I can do with that. They could have kept that. Oh, y'all know y'all have said that before. They could have kept that. Why they give me? If that's all they were going to do, they should have just kept that. But the bottom line, we ought to say what? Thank you. Jesus gave us a good example. He gave thanks. And then he distributed to those who were seated as much as they wanted. He did the same with the fish. Now, he only had 2 fish. He did have 5 barley loaves, but the fish he only had 2. And they probably were small fish too, but the little fella can't carry but so much. And it was for his lunch. He wasn't trying to feed the 5,000. Y'all get it? He wasn't trying to feed him. Well, I'm going to give him his little lunch, and now you take this is your lunch for the day, brother. You might can share with your friend over there, but you can't feed no 5,000. But catch this. I'll jump ahead of myself, but even the little boy was smart enough to surrender what he had. He was smart enough to surrender that. He must have was taught pretty good, wasn't he? He must have grew up at Son of Faith, a greater faith. He understood the value of trusting God with little. Y'all better catch this. You got to catch this now. So he says, when they all had, 12 said, when they had all had enough to eat, have enough. How they going to have enough? He said to his disciples, gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted. Now go back and gather that which was left over. Don't waste nothing. Everybody don't notice yourself sometimes you be a little wasteful in your life. You know, that's myself included. Y'all might notice me sometime around here at the church when we do little feasts and stuff. I'm very strict about how we do with the food. I don't like to see people that throwing waste stuff. I don't like to see us get too much and have a whole lot there. What you gonna do with it? Probably take your refrigerator and put it in there, you eat it one day, then you forget about it, then you have to throw it in the trash. That's called wasting, isn't it? But the Lord said, gather up that which was left over so that we won't have nothing to waste. That's right. So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with the pieces of the 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten. 12 baskets? Wow. After the people saw the sign Jesus performed, they began to say, surely this is the prophet who is to come into the world. God bless the reading of his word. Y'all may take your seats.